Okay, yeah, I just did this to give you some time to come in and to get in the mood myself. I was working today already. Okay. Hello, everybody. Hello, Maria. Um, yes. Today I want to talk about narcissistic and psychopathic abuse. Yes, yes, seems like I want to do this. But I want to enter with something that will lead to the topic, okay? So, yeah, the roots of my channel and the reason why I started the channel is basically narcissistic abuse recovery. And in this regard, I value very much functioning in society. So I think it's important that we aim, or I mean, I'm not talking about we, I'm talking about myself because I'm not a professional coach, I'm not a psychologist or anything. But for me, I just felt in most cases, I felt intuitively what is the right thing for me. And when I look back, it was all the right things most of the times. So I did not let the things that happened to me um, stop me from functioning. And for me, my work was always important, my job. So I did not miss days because, I felt like I need this part of myself, this content of my life, the job, the work that gives me structure. And today I will explain it because when I look back, I understand why it really was important, okay? And the thing is this: coercive control is aimed at giving the victim of the coercive control or the target of coercive control the feeling that they don't have an internal locus of control. So there is it is to train them that there is an external locus of control. So the place where the control of the life happens is externalized. It means the victim or the target of coercive control is like a form of multiple gaslightings and is aimed to undermine the self-confidence, the sense of identity of the person, so that the person feels like whatever happens to me is not anymore controlled by myself. It's not my decisions. I make a decision, then I have a dream, then I make a plan, I have a goal, and make this goal into sub goals, and then I start my steps, and then people come in that help me with this, and I get to my goal, and I reap the rewards. That's an internal locus of control. That's how it should be. But when you get in a coercive control situation, it means you're subtly isolated in plain sight without you knowing it in the beginning. And it is aimed to give you the impression, it's like the Truman Show, the movie, that everything is rigged and suddenly your fate changes in a magical way. And it's designed to get you from the feeling, the self-concept, the identity of having an internal locus of control, that the decisions that you make happen in your mind and they are mirrored in the life that you live, in the relations you have, to the feeling that whatever happens in your life is not in your control anymore. Okay, it's coercive control. It's controlled by something else, by other people, maybe evil forces, something you can't control. It's aimed to destabilize you. But why is it important to work, to engage in social interactions, having a hobby, going to a club? And it is also important if you know that there is people who try to do this to you, coercive control you. In most cases, you don't know it, and this have to be people that are close to you. Only the close people, only your closest people can coercively control you. It must be people that are close to you. Yeah, and it is important to have parts of your identity outside of that circle, at work, at clubs, somewhere that is not connected, that cannot be controlled. And the reason is, now I'm getting to that point now, the reason is because you can feel your own ability and your potency at work or when you're doing your hobby, whatever it is. It could be a sport, it could be music, it could be anything, but right there you get validation of others, you feel your powers and your abilities, okay? So, well, I've been working as a gardener, and there I learned self-confidence, and I learned to solve problems, and I got validation of people. It means there were problems. When you solve problems 1,000 times, you get all the nuances, you learn the differences between theory and practical execution. It means, in the bureau, they say, oh, you're going to do this, it's going to be like that. Then you find out, oh, it's a little bit different. Uh, it's not as, it's more difficult. There are new problems we have to improvise. And then when you have good mentors, they support you, they let you be frustrated, they let you engage with the problem, with the task, but in the right moment they come and guide you through, so that you after some time get a lot of experience and learn to trust in your own abilities. This takes years, a lot of time, and consistency is key. But after some time you learn that you can solve problems that other people say it's impossible, but you do it. I mean, when I was a gardener, yeah, I was doing, were things that I did that normally two or three people would do, or yeah, it's like at some point you get to a point where you really feel like what I can do, most people can do. And you can also estimate it. Like, there's people who say, oh, we have to talk about this, we need to make a plan, can you explain how we do it? Oh, I cannot sleep if we don't talk about it. And you say, I know it's possible, I can do it, we don't need a plan, I just do it, and next day you do it, it's all good, because you have the experience, because you know it. But there's also, of course, the case that you say, okay, this is impossible, we need this machine to do this. And this only comes with experience. But the point, to get back to the point, this gives you a feeling that you have a certain potency that nobody can take away from you. Um, it also gives you the feeling that you have an internal locus of control. It means you make the plan, you have the idea, you make the choice, and you execute the plan, and your boss or the customer is satisfied with the result, and you get validation for it. Therefore, this gives you a substance. So this cannot easily be undermined. It means it's a counterweight to the coercive control side, that is aimed to undermine your confidence, so you're not easily shaken. You the people will try to gaslight you. The people will create strange situations, and we will get later to these strange situations. But you will be stubborn then, and you will be like, "What? I mean, I know myself. You can't tell me none, right?" So this makes you more resistant. This gives you something, and this is very important. And when it's already, let's say, too late, you make life choices, you let people come too close, you helped people that then turned against you because of malicious envy or whatever. We get to that later. Um, it means that you can regain this. You can regain this sense by executing work every day, by getting a validation of others, by tackling new problems, learning new skills, and get validation back. So you see that you still have the potency, you're still functioning, you still have an internal locus of control after you went through the coercive control that was aimed to make you believe that you don't have the control, that was aimed to project the dysfunctions of other people on you. We will get there later. So this is why I think, in my opinion, or in my case, it was important for me to keep up this function in society, to contribute to society. In my case, I also cut the bonds, all relationships back in the that I have that are influenced by this system. All right. Um, this also makes a person powerful when they lose everything, because then they stand alone and there is nothing that can be weaponized against them. Yeah, let me quickly read society's best selling buying instead of personal subjects. Yeah. Yeah, there's some interesting information in the chat there. Yeah, so it helps to have this connection to social circles outside the coercive control scheme. It helps to be functioning in society, to feel your own potency and abilities. Um, when you, and it also, as I said, when you have nothing more to lose, you become very agile. You can move. You can also prove that you're not dependent on certain things. Um, I currently also do fastening, and I also broke all, I wouldn't say it was addictions at all, but it will be weaponized against you. If you smoke or drink, people can weaponize it against you. This is why I also say, in my case, to become fully obedient and not a rebel anymore, rebelling against any systems or something, made me powerful also. It means you outgrow certain individuals that might want to have something against you. You outgrow them by making adjustments in your habits and your lifestyle, so they really have nothing against you anymore. And while they projected their dysfunction on you, they gained a false sense of stability. And when it finally shows that, when this effect is wearing out and they start to show their dysfunctions because they don't have a person anymore to project on, then you have done your work in silence, in the darkness, because you have set yourself apart and outgrown them. And now there can be a timing, a good timing, a time to just confront them. And you can only, let's say like this, once their dysfunction comes to the surface, is the time for you, and it's the time for others. Other people will then see it, witness it, realize it, and that's the time you can speak your truth, because before, people will not believe you. Okay, people will not believe you before. But when then this time comes and you speak out, because the people will discover the truth themselves, they will see the dysfunctional patterns, toxic patterns, whatever. And then it's the time for you to speak out. And it's not enough to just reveal dysfunction on one side. At the same time, you must be able to show that you're different. Okay? So this is basically part of the idea, part of what I'm doing. But I also have warned of certain traps that we could fall in. I'll tell you after I take a sip of coffee and read some distracting messages in the chat. I was trained to not upset the apple cart. That makes a lot of sense. So, what could be traps that we should avoid? Traps that could happen would be to, and we're talking, the talking point right now at the moment is still this locus of control, a place where the control happens. When you try to desperately be different than certain individuals that you want to set yourself apart of, it means you engage in the competitive state, these highly competitive, dysfunctional people. It's a contradiction. If I'm dysfunctional, if I bring nothing to the table, if I have toxic shame and a kind of feeling of impotence, I will not be highly competitive. Will I? Well, if you're a covert narcissist, yes, you will. But when you deal with these people, the trick is they want to coerce you into getting in the highly competitive state as well, because you have everything to lose. You have nothing to prove, and you don't have to compete, and you most certainly don't compete if you're healthy and able and living your life, minding your business. All right. But at some point, they might find ways to get you into a competitive state. And when you start to recover from whatever you went through, you should not do the mistake and try to desperately be different than these people. You have an identity, and you have an identity core before that was independent of them, and you will keep on having an identity independent of them. You don't have to compare yourself to dysfunctional people that actually have no identity core, that simply want to mimic you, because the reason why people become toxic towards you and use coercive control is because they have a fantasy of destabilize you to the point that you are comparable to them, dysfunctional wise, and then they want to copy the traits that they admire in you. This is a delusional fantasy, and it does not work. But that's the playbook. Okay. Um, so we should also, when we recover from this not making state, to let it determine what we do and how we develop into just trying to be different or better than that. It's competitive still, and it still gives them the attention that they want, or it still kind of binds your fate together, and there is no connection in the fate or in your identity to sick people who have a pathologic drive to colonize your mind, to compare themselves to you. So what we do is we focus on ourselves. We focus on ourselves. We can be experimental, and it's just a good side effect if you do things where they can't follow. Let's say I do my, I do fastening. I engage in celibacy. It means to contain your sexual energy. You can break all substance addictions, whether it was an addiction or not. You simply say you stop all methods of um, instant gratification. It means things that you do that give you a quick release of dopamine, but it's just a consumption. You just stimulate yourself, you just distract yourself, you just basically in some way manipulate. That's what drugs do, that's what substances do. That's also what sex addiction does when you have compulsive behavior in this regard. It's a instant gratification. It's aimed to regulate your dopamine system, it's an attempt to regulate yourself, but it's of course leading nowhere, because habits that are aimed to regulate you but are bound to some substance or other people make you dependent, and this will be self-destructive, or so it will lead to aggression towards yourself or towards aggression to others, because then your well-being is bound to the substance or to the person. This is never healthy, ever. So you can do these things, and they also give you a sense of internal locus of control. It gives you new confidence. It gives you energy that you can invest. All right, because you set a goal and you try to achieve that goal, and even if you have relapses, that is normal. Consistency is key. You will get there. You will get there. And then you have small successes. Then you have bigger successes. Then positive effects start to synergize together. It could be you start fasting, like intermittent fasting. Then you start workouts. Then you start cardio. Then you manage, and but you still can't get away of some substance. You still drink your beer, but then after some time, you finally get this you manage to drink no beer ever again, and then this improves your sleep. This improves the quality of your work. This gets you more validation, more success in your job. This gives you another thing, and this comes all together. This all comes together and creates synergies that help you to improve on your journey, get new experiences, rebuild your confidence, and at the same time, we also start to uncover and understand the past better. Is it time to speak about the topic that the stream was dedicated now. Thank you, Barry Mansfield. Hope you enjoy my content. Yeah, I just, yeah, it's a mixture. My channel is a mixture, right, of many things, of philosophy, of trying to understand the narcissist and the psychopath, the differences between them, recovery from this, um, and many other things. Yeah. Okay, so this this stream today was actually dedicated. My basic idea was to speak about the most counterintuitive thing that I have ever witnessed or experienced in my life, that I still struggle to fully comprehend and understand. And I wanted to print out a script that is actually public on my YouTube channel in form of a community post. It would have helped me, but the printer does not want to work today, so I try to freestyle it. Um, yeah, how you found me, Miss? Yeah, Barry Mansfield. Doesn't matter, right? The algorithm, the almighty algorithm. Yeah. So I wanted to talk about the most counterintuitive thing that I experienced. It will include covert narcissist and psychopath as archetypes. Of course, not real people. We're not talking about real people here, right? We're talking about patterns, about archetypes, about experience, emotional quality, yeah, and psychological concepts as well. And I wanted to talk about, I think that what people struggle the most in emotional abuse situations, whether it's narcissistic, psychopathic, I don't care, um, is that part that feels individual and absolutely unique, and there is nobody in the world who experienced the same, is so disturbing and weird. And because it's so disturbing and weird, we were almost fascinated by that, what we saw, and absorbed by it in a strange way. This is why it went so deep. On the other hand, if we experience something and then we find out there is a framework that explains it, finally or suddenly, this counterintuitive, miraculous experience suddenly can be explained. Suddenly there are people who have studied this already, who also, there must be people who have experienced something like that. Suddenly it's more common, suddenly we're talking about it, and talking means to let sunlight on the topic, and sunlight disinfects. So I suggest to you people, try to vocalize the things, try to understand patterns, and yeah, we have to work on all these things. By the way, I'm in no way a coach. I'm not a, I have not studied psychology. I'm not giving advices. You need to go to professional people if you want advices. I can only inspire. You might be able to extract something, but I'm not here to teach people, basically. Like, I'm not having the mindset that I have the truth and I'm giving it to people. No, that's not the, that's not the idea, right? All right. Yeah, so the individual part of experience of disturbing, abusive things that we witnessed seems to be the hardest. But when we educate ourselves, when we evolve through that work that I said before in the channel, like working on yourselves, being experimental, doing things, good things for your health that might have synergy effects. You step by step by step by step by step uncover the puzzle more and more. And finally, suddenly, you understand even those things that you thought were absolutely miraculous, not explainable, counterintuitive, unique to you. You finally solve the riddle and have a sense of understanding. You can name it, you can call it out. This means you have something to work on, only the problem that is invisible to you, not understandable to you. This is a problem that is dangerous, especially subconscious problems are more dangerous than problems you have awareness of. Problems you can trace back. All right, enough of the talking around the topic. Enough of introduction. I have experienced something that I was explaining using a famous family that we all know. But I think today I don't want to talk about them. You might know what I don't want to talk about them today. I also don't want to talk about real people here, of course. So I will tell you I will give you now the concept that I just recently have unlocked further. It means I just recently got, I was already uncovering it. It's like an iceberg. You first see just the tip that confuses you, and then you get more and more layers. And I think I got a good picture now. And it's about projection and how it works. I just start talking now. As I said, I would like to have this script, but I try to just do it from my head, and therefore I have to start somewhere. Let's begin with the covert narcissist and a psychological model, a framework behind it. The covert narcissist is driven by toxic shame, by a repression of shame, by a trauma repetition compulsion. What does it mean? Toxic shame means that a person is constantly feeling a form of shame subconsciously. Parts of it can be subconscious, repressed, but they also have a sense of grandiosity. It means there is a gap between their sense of self and reality. This can be called a grandiosity gap. So there is a self-concept that is grandiose, but there is also repressed shame, and this shame is actually more rooted in reality, but not felt, than the fantasy, creates a huge gap. All right. And therefore, they have to externalize this shame. They project this shame on others. They kind of fight and battle to get rid of it. They have an all-pervasive, they have constantly a feeling of impotence. It means the covert narcissist is having the experience to be fully controlled by outside forces. All right, so this archetype is completely controlled by external forces, and this is the reason why they feel impotent. They have not the potency to change their fate, to make decisions. This feeling of impotence is unbelievably contradicting the self-concept of being omnipotent. So the covert narcissist has a constant compulsion to prove omnipotence, to compensate for the reality of impotence. Okay? And what toxic shame also leads to is to malicious envy. It means when they see a person that embodies everything they want to be, abilities, potency, functioning, they will have at some point the desperate need to replace this person and kind of become this person, simply said. All right. Therefore, they must project their dysfunction and their feeling of impotence on that person. How do they do it? I can explain. My, geez, what is this? Covert now, so trained. Geez, what is this? Hello, global. All right. Um, so, how, you know, this is where the psychopath comes in. Whew. Let me explain one more thing about a covert narcissist. The covert narcissist lives in a delusional fantasy that they can never ever exit. Therefore, they believe everything they do. They act based on introject constancy. It means when they interact with you, they made a snapshot of you, idealized it, then they think, oh, I have figured out this person. They have internalized it as a fantasy. Everything is fantasy, and within the same fantasy, there's no external world, there's no external people. And they act based on that with you. Not with you, with that introject. It frustrates them if you diverge from this, if you act different than they want you to act. All right, the psychopath is different. All right, the psychopath has not introject constancy and has not object constancy. A healthy person would have introject and object constancy, which means a healthy person can have a representation of you within their fantasy, but they also are fully aware that you have an external reality and that their introject of you is not a full person. There's more to it, and they must update it. They have to reflect on this. There's constant updates. Basically, a healthy person, in a nutshell. The psychopath has none of these connections. The psychopath is not connected to the introject, means to the internal version of you, and is not connected to the real person of you. They are indifferent about this. They could not care less. But they can provide you with a shared fantasy, with a future fake, they can mimic not everything, but a lot of things, superficial things. So they try to give you something to get something from you. It's always transactional. It's goal driven. So the psychopath is driven to a goal, not to you. You don't matter so much, but you might be in the way to get to the goal. Means you might be an instrument or an obstacle. Therefore, interaction with you is necessary. Okay. So how does the projection game now works? How is you as a healthy person, as an functioning and potent person, how does it work to project impotence on you to undermine your importance. It works through triangulation, and it works in a way that is not easy to describe. This is what I mean with it's 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 an experience that is hard to explain, that is counterintuitive and hard to decipher, but I try to do it without the script. Now, let's begin again with, no, we again go to the, now that I have introduced to you the covert narcissist in his fantasy world and the psychopath with indifference and the detachment of emotionality and people that is only goal driven. Okay, this is hard work. So the covert narcissist is having a toxic shame and a malicious envy towards you. So they want to project it. How do they do it? They engage, they act out dysfunction. It means they simply show you dysfunction. They teach you about their depression. They teach you about their suicidal ideation. They tell you that they did not want their own children, that they regret to have these children. They engage in self-trashing behavior, can also include sex. And when they do this, they seem to be proud of it. So they show pride. And they also smile in your face when they hurt you or themselves, which is a form of sadomasochism. So when you understand sadism, it means they have joy in hurting you. When you understand masochism, they also have joy in hurting themselves. And they show pride when they do shameful things, which is what I believe rooted in childhood. A child that did not get positive attention from the mother. When the child was, when everything was okay, the child was quiet. It got ignored. It was ignored, neglected. But when it did something terrible, shameful, finally mother had to care and gave negative attention. So the child and this archetype, this person, is conditioned to do shameful things and feels a sense of pride when they are successful in getting attention through it. Makes no sense? Yes, makes sense, but in some way makes sense. Attention. It's about attention. So they engage in self-trashing behavior. They are proud of it because they get attention. They get into the center of attention by showing self-trashing behavior. And at the same time, they burden you with the information about them. I think they subconsciously might wish that it washes off on you. Now, how does the projection work? It works in a way that a psychopath comes in and validates the behavior of the covert narcissist and is indifferent towards you. So the psychopath can be sadistic as well, which means they're not indifferent towards you. It would mean they validate the self-trashing behavior of the covert narcissist in a maternal way. So it's actually a misled maternal reflex. Okay? Uh, a good mother would have a maternal reflex that makes her want to protect her children from dysfunctional influence. A misled maternal reflex will let the mother rather parent the narcissist who is a child. She will have a savior complex towards this person with a victimhood identity. Okay? So the covert narcissist is running away from another evil woman who is responsible for all the problems of him, of his impotence. Um, so he's a frustrated child, and the maternal reflex of the psychopath will be triggered to parent this child and validate the self-trashing behavior. But at the same time, the psychopath is either sadistic towards you, towards your pain, your confusion, or indifference. It can be also hiding behind indifference. So the person says, oh, I don't care. I don't care that my children and you and everybody else is suffering from that. I'm out of this. I'm hiding. But this creates the effect of projecting the dysfunction on you, because now the covert narcissist engaging in self-trashing behavior that should be shameful and hurts people around them is validated, is happy, is thriving in the filth that he knows from childhood when he managed to get this negative attention from mother. He now gets the same form of attention from you, negative attention, but from the psychopath is validated. All of this is aimed to project on you the feeling of this impotence. Okay, so in this moment, the covert narcissist feels omnipotent in having so much control over the situation through self-trashing, filthy behavior, and being proud of that, enabled and validated by the psychopath. So now this dysfunction and omnipotence is handed to you and everybody else who suffers from this. Everybody else is receiving the the pain, the confusion. But these people suddenly get stabilized through this behavior. All right. I kind of I kind of managed to describe it roughly how this counterintuitive behavior can be explained using this framework. It could be done in different ways as well. Like, let's say there's children who make a party and they invite your children, but you as a father are excluded. Why? Because when you enter this, the covert shared fantasy space of the covert narcissist is threatened. They know that they are dysfunctional. They know that they are impotent. And now you come with you know yourself, and this would threaten it. But anyway, now you're excluded. All right, so the dysfunctional people want to have influence on your children and invite them, but you are not allowed to look after them in this moment. But then, and there will be projections on your children, so they will have negative influence on your children. And then let's turn this around, and you're having a party with your kids, and they invite these kids where the covert narcissist before has shared his dysfunction with you and told you that he did not want these kids. He showed you all his impotence. He can't work. He can't function. He's running away from an evil woman. He was in the asylum, and because of he was victim of circumstances, and since he was there, he got a diagnosis because of that. And all this dysfunction is programmed into you. He told you about this. And then they project this on you, like, but they exclude you at the same time. And then this child comes to you, to your party, and they expect you to treat it perfectly fine. And you will do this because you're a healthy person. You will not tell a child that this covert narcissist pattern archetype did not want the child, regrets to have that child, is unable to function or work in society, has a diagnosis, is having negative influence on your children, but you will not do any of this to their child. But this is not easy. They try to project the dysfunction on you. They want you to become like them. All right? And they weaponize children. It means they have the negative influence on your children to make you do the same mistake that they do. But you're a stable person. You don't do that. You have a moral compass. And this is what reveals the pattern. The projection fails. They can't project their impotence on you. That's what I want to show you. The goal is to make you believe that you have to compete with them in dysfunction because they create an image of omnipotence that they validate inside a cult, inside a dysfunctional dynamic, and act it out as a grotesque display of filth and shame. And they celebrate that, and it stabilizes them. It's based on falsehood, false narrations, coercive control, narrative control. And this is how they want to project it. They want you to believe the cult dynamic, the inside cult shared fantasy lie, the smear campaign. You need to reject it, and it helps you to have external connections to work where you know yourself, where you know your potency. It helps that you have your social contacts who are not highly competitive, who value your abilities. You have real friends. You don't only have these highly competitive cowards that run away from women, hide behind children. This is the definition of impotence. And they want you to feel that you're the problem, that you're impotent. All right? That's the goal, but you have to reject it by understanding this video. I did it without a script, bro. That's good. Whew, that was hard work. Any questions left? Any questions left? I almost needed 1 hour, bro. All right, so we see that self-trashing behavior, so the covert narcissist acts out. It means acting out has nothing to do with overt aggression. Overt aggression would be a tantrum. It means that they, in a childlike rage, do some gibberish, like, and then walk away. This is a tantrum. This is the biggest display of outward aggression you will see from a covert narcissist. No, acting out means they're acting. like a child in a costume with makeup, having a having a fantasy, and they play that. They play it. They play depressed. They play suicide, being suicidal. They play everything. This is acting out. And this is meant to program you, to feed you with that. Because the clue is when they fed this to you, first of all, it's confusing. It looks like this person is a complete victim and helpless, harmless, but it's a predatory parasite. Because then they will shift and project a false picture of omnipotence, which leads you to confront them with the impotence that they have showed you before. And then they want you to become the monster that they are, a self-crashing, filthy parasite. And psychopaths help them to do this, especially if you reject the psychopath, if you confront the psychopath, if you uncover the patterns of the psychopath. They want to get rid of you. And they will help to undermine your feeling of confidence. They will help to gaslight you so that you can speak your truth and finish your mission. Okay? I'm done with the video. I'm asking once more, are there any questions? I'm free for questions now. I'm open for inspiration. By the way, a question that arose today on my channel helped me to uncover parts of that what I have revealed in this video. It was about the external locus of control, and that the covert narcissist is completely feeling impotent because his victimhood mentality and identity is based on the feeling that everything that he experiences is connected to external forces. Therefore, the feeling of impotence, but it contrasts with the feeling of omnipotence and the sense of self, which leads to the necessity to project and get rid of the feeling of impotence via what I have just described. Since there seems to be no more questions, I'm gonna finish this video. Thank you for listening. And see you in the next stream. You're welcome. You're welcome.